This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 767. Thanks for listening. Make sure that you are subscribed and downloading on all platforms where you are doing your podcast, such as Spotify. Buy a t-shirt over at prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Give us a follow over on Instagram at markinout11. Follow us on Twitter or X, whichever way you want to call it. But no matter which way you call it, we're still at Markin Out. Go follow us over there. Go give us a like on Facebook and also on TikTok at Markin Out. You can follow me on all social media platforms. Who am I? I am Dave, the Rave. And you can check me out at David PTDPT. You can follow Chris at CMSweeney85 on X and Chris Sweendog on Instagram. And you can follow Brandon on all social media platforms at BTTG161. That being said, Brandon, how are you?
I am doing awesome as always. I believe you reversed those two handles, by the way, for Instagram and Twitter for Chris. But
it is very possible.
Yeah, it's CMSweeney85 on Instagram, Chris Sweendog Twitter. But this week was such a tiring week for pro wrestling. WWE specifically. WWE is pro wrestling. I pissed some people off on Twitter by saying that.
I know.
But how was your week?
My week was great, you know. It was an awesome week, and I'm excited because I leave for Kansas City. Going to Kansas City for a conference, and not to go get close to the action of AEW, though. But
I mean, you're going
They're
specifically
supposed to be in Kansas City.
You're going specifically for Taylor Swift.
Duh. Why would I not?
Right.
I mean, her new album is incredible.
It is. I'm glad to hear you say that.
I haven't listened to it. I haven't listened to it.
I know that's not accurate. So,
I've heard a few songs. You know, but good for her. You know, but we did have a big week of pro wrestling. We actually had Crown Jewel taking place down under. You know, and that the crowd brought their A game. I'm always a big fan of the crowds for the international audience because there's something so different, and I don't know what it is, but hopefully, just like last time,
I didn't feel like the crowd was like that insane this time.
Really, I thought it was. I thought that in comparison to a typical American crowd, I thought that they definitely did. But I hope that some of it could resonate and come across over to here, like similar to France. How after France, a lot of United States arenas started to sing Randy Orton's theme song. I hope that some of it carries over.
Well, it opened up with Bronson Reed. By the way, some nerve. They had a kickoff show start at 6 a.m., which I accidentally was up for. I didn't even plan to be up for Crown Jewel until 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
But with the 8 a.m. start time, but I was up for some reason at 5:30 a.m. My body was like, "Get up right now!" And I woke up. I turned on the old PlayStation 5. I turned on the ESPN app, and I watched Crown Jewel. Like I said, or started to say, it opened up with Bronson Reed picking up the victory over Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight. We had the cricket bat, which I requested. I feel like it didn't really get used as it should have.
Yeah,
it appeared.
Yeah,
we had a rugby ball too, which I feel like also didn't really get used.
All right, so ready? The cricket bat was used, at least, the rugby ball didn't even get used.
Yeah, well,
I feel like I would have popped if, like, let's say Roman Reigns grabbed the rugby ball and did his, like, a variation of his spear or something, like, or Bronson Reed just doing
punch?
a shoulder
Hello.
tackle.
A Superman punch.
That would have been cool too.
Although I don't know how heavy or hard a rugby ball is to get hit in the face with that. I don't know.
Yeah, you make it work.
But I popped big
it work.
time when Roman Reigns grabbed the microphone. He goes, "Acknowledge me if you want tables." And then everybody, I've never seen so many hands shoot one finger up at one time before. I thought that was funny. But
That was awesome.
Braun Breaker got involved and speared Roman Reigns before he could spear Bronson Reed through the barricade. They shield power bombed him through the commentary table. Yeah, the Usos
And I'm just going to say,
show up.
before you go through with that cutoff of Bronson Reed, I didn't see that coming. But that was such a great cutoff of Roman Reigns' spear because they set it up perfectly. And I know you probably must have been very happy because I know you hate that spear spot. I'm still a mark for it.
But before Roman Reigns was, when I saw what the spot was about to be, I tweeted, "Can we please stop?" Or I was about to tweet, "Can we please stop these barricade spots?" And then I thankfully had to delete that. So. But yeah, the Usos showed up. Roman Reigns warned them to stay in the back, don't show up. And then the Vision ended up taking them out. Jey Uso kind of came back. He accidentally speared Roman Reigns through a table. Bronson Reed basically won off of that after a tsunami. I thought there would be more, but Roman Reigns literally said before this match, "Stay in the back." And I mean, he was very clearly pissed off at the Usos for showing up. Mm-hmm. Because the whole world, the whole world thinks he can't do things on his own. He told them he doesn't want to see them until Christmas, which I thought was funny. And then he ends up leaving, and Jay yelled about Roman Reigns to Jimmy, and then Jay also ended up leaving.
Yeah,
like, with everything that's going on, why would I want to see that as a team for War Games?
Yeah, and I thought that was hilarious too. With he doesn't want to see them until Christmas time.
Yeah,
not too sure what's going to happen with all of that now. I mean, we can only hope that Santa could bring them back together.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Next up, you had Stephanie Vaquer pick up a victory over Tiffany Stratton to win the Crown Jewel Championship. This match, I mean, Stephanie Vaquer, talk about having the WWE place a rocket to your back, strap it on there, and just watch you just take off. I mean, look at all the titles that she's held so far since her debut. Just incredible.
Yeah, and I thought this match was good back and forth. We saw Stephanie Vaquer hit the SVB, and commentary barely mentioned it. Like, they didn't even mention it being the SVB, so I don't know what's happening with that, because we did have that new version of the SVB, but she didn't use that in this. She used the old version of the SVB, and then she ends up winning with that corkscrew moonsault regardless. But ultimately, I like this match. I really wish this match was longer, though. I feel like they could have done so much more in this match, but Stephanie Vaquer, I think very much so. Well, I don't think she needed the win, but over Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton's been very dominant lately.
I would say that for this matchup, I don't think that neither of them needed it, but I think that Stephanie Vaquer would benefit the most from the win.
After that, I don't even know how to cover this match. We had John Cena pick up the victory over AJ Styles one last time. They didn't even, give me enough time to mark the absolute hell out for AJ's attire. The only thing that could have made AJ's attire better would have been if he came out to the TNA theme song as well. But
I mean, that entrance,
that was awesome. It was absolutely wild seeing the sea of yellow for John Cena. I don't know if we've seen during this retirement tour. I don't think we've seen that before. It had to have been 95% of the crowd was a John Cena t-shirt.
Yeah.
John
was
Cena.
nice.
John Cena had Alicia Taylor have a special John Cena introduction for AJ Styles, so that was really cool.
I mean, that introduction, I popped for that introduction.
Yeah, I
the
thought that was great.
TNA, the total nonstop action drop, the Bullet Club drop, and you could see like AJ Styles' like response and everything, his reaction. I love the visible respect that both of these wrestlers have for each other, especially because it's Mr. WWE and Mr. TNA, but just the large level of immense respect that they have for each other. I love it.
And this match was incredible. You had tribute after tribute after tribute. I think the first one that we saw was from John Cena hitting the skull-crushing finale. And then, I guess, technically, AJ Styles did the Stinger Splash and then followed that up with the Scorpion Death Drop. It's very hard to know who specifically they're doing the moves for, because there was a crossface, which you could say was the yes lock for Daniel Bryan. You could say it was for Bobby Roode. He did the Coquina Clutch, Samoa Joe. John Cena did an Accolade. He did the Walls of Jericho. He ends up kicking out of I think it was the first Styles Clash. He caught the phenomenal forearm and ends up hitting AJ Styles with the Sister Abigail. That was awesome. That was like...
I mean, the crowd... That moment was so special because...
Yeah.
At first, when he locked it, he underhooked it, right? When he landed,
I think maybe a bunch of people might have thought the same thing that you thought. I thought it.
Yeah.
I thought it was about to be a rock bottom.
I thought that... Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, once he hooked it, and I don't know if that was meant to be intentional to get you to start thinking that way, because I feel like John Cena is such a great pro wrestler that he could do an action to elicit a thought from you and then go in another direction, because he's just that good in the ring. So it's very possible that was intentional to make us feel that. But then to switch it over to something so emotional, to the Sister Abigail, and then you can see John Cena emotional a bit after, because everybody started taking out their phones for the Fireflies. And what a moment.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Beautiful.
AJ Styles did the Angel's Wings for Christopher Daniels, something that we did see John Cena do previously, and we saw John Cena tease a pedigree, which was reversed with Fade to Black for Frankie Kazarian. People were like, that's the Deadeye. That's Adam Page's move. You're wrong. It's Adam Page. It's Hangman. Blah, blah, blah. It's ridiculous.
Yes, because they're going to pay tribute to Hangman Page. Yes, yes. I've actually loved John Cena's match against Hangman Page. Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking about AJ Styles versus Hangman. They're incredible 60-minute long matchup that they had.
We saw Broadway. We saw John Cena do that draping DDT that Randy Orton does, and he followed that up with an RKO. He sets up for a punt, which everybody made fun of, and AJ Styles moved out of the way. He hit a Death Valley drive or an attitude adjustment. I forget. People were saying it could have been for somebody else. I forget who. AJ Styles went for the 5-knuckle shuffle, which John Cena pops up with a chokeslam. Commentary sold it as if it was for The Undertaker. Part of me thinks that could have been for Kane as well.
I agree. I think that especially so, I actually thought originally that it was for Kane. And the only reason why I thought Kane was because he dropped down with the chokeslam, and that's more of a Kane instead of Undertaker.
But also at the same time, John Cena's chokeslams have always been similar to that, so...
I'm also going to add, I mean, he also does the tombstone later on, so I feel like that's another reason why one was for Undertaker, one was for Kane.
Also, I don't know if this was an on-the-fly sort of call, but the fans started chanting for 619, and they did.
No way, that had to have been on the fly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it had to have been, I assume, because they were chanting for that, and then they teased it. AJ Styles broke that up. He tuned up the band and hits the after he hit the springboard 450. He hit the Sweet Chin music, which again, I don't recall.
Debatable.
I don't recall James Storm tuning up the band like Shawn Michaels in my memory.
I don't recall.
It could have been for
James
possible. Storm as well.
I won't rule it out.
AJ hit that phenomenal forearm. And when John Cena hit the attitude adjustment, I thought that was about to be it, and I didn't want it to be over. And he ends up going for it wasn't over. He ends up going for an attitude adjustment from the middle rope, which AJ Styles fought out of, and then John Cena caught him off a crossbody. He rolled through like we've seen all the time before, and he would normally follow that up with that attitude adjustment. But like you said, instead of doing that, he turned it into a tombstone, and then one final attitude adjustment. And I was a big fan of this match.
Bravo. I agree with you. This matchup was, it was exactly what I would want to see from two legends. I feel like it's kind of one of those things where if you told me about this matchup and you're like, oh yeah, no, they're like, it's like fantasy booking, like, oh yeah, John Cena's going to hit Sister Abigail, and then they're going to hit this, and all of these different moves that other wrestlers do. I would be like, I want it to be a little bit original. But I feel like because of the larger than life feel of this, and with John Cena retiring stuff, I feel like this match was perfect.
And it wasn't like they took it from other matches. Like everything flowed perfectly fine.
Yeah, nothing was forced at all. It was perfect.
After that, you had Rio pick up the victory over the Kabuki Warriors. The Kabuki Warriors attacked Rhea Ripley and Io Sky before the match to start it. It quickly turned into one-on-one with Io versus Asuka. And I think the Kabuki Warriors did a very good job in this match at holding Io away from Rhea, from getting a tag in.
Yeah, this match was incredible.
Very, very hard hitting.
Yeah, this was a hard hitting matchup. I thought that everybody in this matchup has such great chemistry together. They work so well.
Yeah.
To the point where I feel like if we saw these four wrestlers intermingle in matches, whether it's tag team or singles, for months on the end, I would still be way entertained no matter what. Like, their matches will never get tiring.
Like with their match on Monday Night Raw, we saw Asuka get up on the apron when Io went for that over the moonsault to get Kairi the upper hand. And then we did eventually see Io hit that on Kairi, but Asuka broke that up, the pin. And then Rhea Ripley went to Riptide Asuka from the middle rope. Kairi tagged herself in as a sacrifice. And from there, she ate a Riptide. She eats the over the moonsault and takes the pin. We'll put a pin in that.
Main event of the evening, you had Seth Rollins pick up the victory over Cody Rhodes to win the Crown Jewel Championship. This matchup was just awesome.
Earlier in the night, though, Paul Heyman spoke to the Vision after their match, and he said that if Seth Rollins gets up on the turnbuckle, waves his hands, and makes a motion like come down, we're staying in the back. Seth needs to do this on his own. And that was oh my God sort of moment.
Yeah, you didn't know what to expect from that, because usually you would hear like the manager supporting the wrestler.
Yeah. Seth Rollins wore the watch that Cody Rhodes gave him. He also wore a combination of gear that he wrestled Cody Rhodes in. And I thought that was really cool.
That was awesome. That was awesome, you know?
Seth started...
Yeah.
He started pushing Michael Cole at one point. And Wade Barrett just cowered. He didn't even do anything for that. It was Cody Rhodes to come to the rescue.
You know, something you mentioned the attire. Something that I loved was how there was one point where Seth Rollins was doing the bionic elbow, the dusty elbow spot, and right before he's about to lay in the elbow, he actually points and grabs a hold of the dusty polka dots on his tights, showing like this is for Dusty.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a heel thing to do, and that was awesome.
I liked when Seth was doing that, the double stomp to Cody Rhodes' shoulder when Cody was draped over the barricade just to like tie it back to their Hell in a Cell match where he had the torn pec. I liked the powerbomb counter from Seth Rollins when Cody went for the disaster kick. I thought that was really cool. I liked when Seth Rollins taunted Cody Rhodes with the Stardust taunt. I thought that was awesome. And then later in the match, Cody hit the Cody Cutter. He hit a Crossroads, and I thought that was about to be the end of the match. And I was like, I really need Seth Rollins to win this match. And thankfully, it wasn't the end of the match. Seth Rollins did one of the craziest spots I've ever seen in pro wrestling. A coast-to-coast headbutt. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do that before.
I don't recall seeing that either.
He lands on his shoulder.
I mean, and it's being said that... I'm sorry?
He lands on his shoulder.
Yeah, I was about to say that some people are saying that this is the spot that potentially we don't know what to believe with Seth Rollins anymore. Potentially this is a spot where maybe he hurt his shoulder.
Cody also, by the way, did that the crossroads from the top rope. I thought that was insane, which Seth Rollins kicked out of. And that was another moment where I thought like, oh, well, this is it. This is Cody winning. But Seth eventually did use the watch when the referee was turned around. He hit the stomp and then hit another stomp from the middle rope to get that victory. I thought for sure we would see some sort of like help from somebody new for the Vision. I'm very glad that we didn't. But I mean,
not needed.
Technically, we'll put a pin in that too.
Yeah.
So,
but this we spoke about before, like Vicaire and Stratton. About who needed the win and stuff. Rollins needed the win over Rhodes.
Yeah, 100%.
He needed that win,
and then the two of them celebrated to close the pay-per-view. The PLE. We didn't see them this time traveling a golf cart all the way to Saudi Arabia to put the the titles in a case in the vault. So,
yeah,
it would have been quite the journey for them via golf cart. But Monday Night Raw also taking place 8 a.m. on the East Coast here. Kicked off with The Vision, which I thought it was funny, this segment where people were singing Seth Rollins' theme song. They cheered him, and then they booed when he spoke about The Vision. And then cheered throughout this whole segment. The crowd was very confusing for this one. And Seth went through the group as to why they're each in the group. He said that he hasn't needed anyone to get his success, which I feel like...
That maybe was a poor choice of words.
But like we literally saw the only reason why he won the last time was because of Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
First match of Monday Night Raw, saw Dominic pick up the victory over Penta to retain the Intercontinental Championship. We saw Rusev speak to Penta beforehand and said that he already spoke to Adam Pearce and he has the winner of this match for next week. And then the segment also followed it up with Dominic about to walk to the ring, and he saw Rusev and started walking the other way. I thought that was really funny. But this was a fun match.
Hilarious.
This was a fun match. It was reminding me of like Scooby-Doo, that segment, the backstage.
I could see that. I like how you had the crowd pop and react to it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of heard the laughter when he turned around to walk away.
The crowd was very much so behind Dominic here. And they popped big time when he did that Penta walk.
Yeah. I mean, something that I really loved in this was it during this? Yeah. I loved how Dominic, he had both championships. And then at one point he was trying to figure out how to cheat. He threw down the championship in front of the ring, the bell keep. What is it called? The bell keep? The bell ringer? Huh?
I didn't say anything first.
The bell keeper of the bell. He threw it down in front of the keeper of the bell, and then the protector of the bell. And then when the protector of the bell went down to go pick up the belt, that's where Dominic grabbed the actual hammer and snuck it into the ring to utilize it during the match. Such a huge heel, but also like that reminded me of Eddie Guerrero, that time where he grabbed the grabbed the nightstick from the security guard that didn't see it and just snuck it into the ring. Just hilarious.
Before he did that, Rusev came out, and Penta, instead of focusing on the match, focusing on maybe becoming the Intercontinental Champion, chose to dove out onto Rusev and take Rusev out. And then that's when you saw Dominic use the ring bell, the hammer, and he hit it into his boot. And then he hit the 619 with that, too. That was a perfect ending. That was an absolutely perfect ending to that match.
Agreed.
And then later on, Dominic interrupted Adam Pearce and AJ Styles, and he was not happy about having to have a match against Rusev, and Dominic is like, I feel like I'm the only person around here defending titles. And then AJ Styles is like, you know what? You're right. The Judgment Day should defend the championships against me and Dragon Lee. And Adam Pearce set that match up for next week, so I thought that was really funny. Maybe we'll see AJ Lee win the tag team titles next week. I don't know. But the Judgment Day, I think, have defended the titles once in 100 days.
Yeah, there's the lack of title defenses right now from them.
Need to change that.
Yeah, I agree. But next up, you had Rhea Ripley pick up the victory over Kairi Sane.
The backstage stuff beforehand.
Yeah. Ton of backstage.
Asuka yelled at Kairi before this, slapped the absolute hell out of her again. I feel like you said last week that it's not going to come to a part where Kairi leaves Asuka.
Yeah, after seeing that, I was just like, okay.
There's only so much.
Yeah, there's only so much. Yeah, after that moment, I was just like, okay, it has to happen now, right?
They're
leading up to it.
We got the next voyage back for Kairi's theme song. That makes me very happy to hear. That's one of my favorite all-time WWE theme songs. I think it fits Kairi Sane perfectly. I don't think her new theme song from Def Rebel was absolute trash, but it's not the next voyage.
I saw that there's potential that they're getting rid of all the theme songs because they're going to potentially bring back in Def Rebel?
Def Rebel is the garbage they have now. You're talking about CFO money or whatever. CFOs, I don't know how to ever pronounce that.
Yeah.
But that is a track.
Yeah.
The next voyage is a track from CFO.
Yeah, so that's what, yeah.
But yeah, I guess Def Rebel's contract is up. Good riddance. They had some good songs, but for the majority, stinker.
Yeah.
This was a good match. Like I said last week, I think the MVPs of Monday Night Raw are the women. I think very much so.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I kind of feel like I would agree. I can't say that. I don't know. I was going to say I could agree with you on Crown Jewel too, but I feel like everybody was really good on there.
For Crown Jewel, I think my absolute favorite match right there was that Cena AJ Styles.
That's the thing. Cena and AJ I really, really liked, but Victoria and Strandon I really enjoyed too.
But Asuka taunted Rhea Ripley, and Io ended up attacking her, which Kairi then took her out. I was surprised to see Kairi get out of the Riptide. I was very surprised by this whole match because I did not expect Kairi to have this kind of match in general in 2025. So I was very, very pleased with this match. I also liked Kairi Sane ducking into the ring when they were on the apron, so Rhea Ripley could then, not for her to, she sidestepped Rhea, so Rhea ran into the ring post. We also saw Asuka get involved again later, and Io took her out, and Kairi finally lost after a Riptide. Asuka attacked after the match, and Rhea went to put her through the commentary table with the Riptide, only for Kairi to save Asuka with a kendo stick. And then Asuka DDT'd Rhea Ripley onto the table. I thought for sure in that segment we were going to get more missed. I guess it's probably for the best that we didn't, given how we've had it so much. Well, not so much, but we had it twice within the last maybe month or so.
But, yeah, that makes sense.
But
why we wouldn't have
well done match from Rhea Ripley and Kairi Sane. After that, we had Bronson Reed pick up the victory over Jimmy Uso. We saw the Usos speak beforehand, which really wasn't ending on the greatest of terms between the two of them, all because of Roman Reigns. for this, and I don't even think Jay wanted Jimmy to have this match. Jimmy needed to have this match, according to him. His ribs were all taped up, and it did have an effect on him throughout the match. But ultimately,
when you have ribs taped up like that, you don't want to get into the ring with Bronson Reed.
And you had to know Bronson Reed was winning this.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the aftermath, though. I wasn't expecting Jimmy to eat 2 spears from Braun Breaker. And then Jay ran down before Braun Breaker could spear him through the barricade. And he was annoyed. He was annoyed at Jimmy for having to do that. Maybe rightfully so, because he told Jimmy not to have the match. But also at the same time, they're not focusing on getting the Usos back together for a tag team. I don't want to see any of this in War Games. I can't even picture what War Games is going to look like. It's a month away. I don't want to see any of them in War Games at all.
I agree with you.
So,
don't want to see it.
Yeah.
But next up, you had Bayley and Lyra Valkyria pick up the victory over the Judgment Day. We finally saw Bayley kind of snap out of it a little bit.
Well, before this match even took place,
Valkyria.
Before the match, Lyra was like, "Can I even count on you?" And they go out there. They had a pretty good match. They were dressed in matching gear. Lyra was doing Bayley moves, which I liked. The Judgment Day, I think, controlled the majority of this match, but Lyra, like you said, she slapped Bayley, and Bayley like snapped into that Festus-like state, and we got that. I don't want to say crazy Bayley, but we got that other side of Bayley that ultimately helped her and Lyra Valkyria win.
Yeah, she totally. I mean, once she got slapped, she just did that dive to the outside of the ring, and that really was the turning point right there.
I went into this match thinking, like, Bayley and Lyra have to be the ones to win this, but there were moments in this match where it could have easily been Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez to get those wins, that win. But I'm glad I was right.
Yeah, it would have played into their gimmicks right now. Especially with the snapping and everything.
Yeah, 100%. After this match, we had Stephanie Vaquer interviewed. She said that she's the first ever to hold or to win 4 different championships in 1 year in WWE. So I think that's awesome. Like you had mentioned that similarly to earlier, I should say. Mm-hmm. The Judgment Day interrupted this and said that she should have never been the one to win the championship to begin with. And Roxanne said that she's the one that deserves to be champion. Stephanie Vaquer said, she's like, do something then. If you feel like that, do something about it. And Roxanne said she'll do it when she feels like it, on her time or whatever. Part of me thought we were going to see Liv Morgan return during that segment. Before the Judgment Day
I didn't even
out.
think about that.
Before Raquel and Roxanne even showed up, I was like, maybe this is a time for Liv Morgan to show up. Because the previous holder of that title was Liv Morgan.
Yeah, no, it would have made sense. I didn't even think of that, though.
Yeah. And then the main event, we saw CM Punk and Jey Uso. CM Punk pick up the victory over Jey Uso and LA Knight to become the number 1 contender. There was nothing wrong with this match, but like I said, the MVPs of Monday Night Raw are the women. I'm not really feeling the main event scene. It was beyond, to me, this was beyond obvious that CM Punk was walking out with this victory.
Mm-hmm.
Given everything
I can't get invested in it right now.
But also, I don't know. Now, it's like everything's out the door. So, CM Punk hits the go to sleep on Jey Uso and gets that victory. The Vision come out afterwards. Braun Breaker spears the absolute hell out of Jey Uso. He spears LA Knight. They take out CM Punk, and then my power cuts out. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. Like, I would prefer for it to not be a blackout, but I know this is the end of Raw, and there's, like, nothing else they could possibly do.
Oh, man.
The power comes back up. My Wi-Fi loads back up, and I immediately go back to Netflix, and Netflix is like, it was right where Seth Rollins was like, "You're never going to win the World Heavyweight Championship." So I come back to Netflix, Seth Rollins, "You're never going to win the World Heavyweight Championship." The four of them all raise their arms. They celebrate. And Braun Breaker takes out Seth freaking Rollins.
Wow. Like, what the hell?
And then Bronson Reed hit the tsunami on Seth Rollins too, if I'm not mistaken.
What the hell is that?
What a wild thing to miss. Imagine thinking like, oh, it sucks there's a power outage, but you know this is the end of Monday Night Raw and the Vision is just going to be celebrating what they just did to CM Punk. There's nothing else that could possibly happen after that. When it came back and they're doing that, I was like, I swear to God, I could not have. I was just like blown away. I couldn't believe that's what I had missed. And I'm actually happy that I had that. I'm not happy that there was a blackout, but I'm happy that I had that like interaction, because that proves that you really never know. Even with 1 minute or so left on the clock, you never know what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, so much could change, as we found out.
So they say it could be because Seth Rollins injured his shoulder and might be out for surgery. We don't know. But hopefully Seth Rollins is fine. Hopefully he doesn't need surgery. And if he does, speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. I picked Braun Breaker, to leave 2025 as World Heavyweight Champion. I'm pretty close to having that happen.
It's not too far-fetched right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's far-fetched at all to believe that could happen.
So that's Monday Night Raw. Moving over to NXT, which kicked off with Ricky Saints addressing Trick Williams for leaving the team last week. Called him out to have a match for the championship at Halloween Havoc, and Trick appeared on the screen and said as soon as he got to NXT, he was in the spotlight. It took Ricky Saints years to get to that point. And Trick said that he'll do this on his time. I don't know if they edited that video that played or if they reshot it, but when they originally did it, he was TNA champion, so that's not the case anymore. I'll also put a pin in that. And then later on backstage, Trick Williams attacked Ricky Saints, and Ava made a contract signing for the match next week. They are going to have a title match at Halloween Havoc.
I think that's going to be a very fun match, but on the other hand, I got to see Ricky Saints pick up the victory.
I don't think he's losing.
No.
I would be surprised.
I don't think he's losing either. I would say Saints wins and then probably bring Trick up to the main roster, right?
I don't know.
But first match of the night, unfortunately, Josh Briggs picked up the victory over Matt Cardona, the complete Matt Cardona. This was Matt's first match on WWE television in how long? I forgot. Many years.
Maybe 4 years.
Very happy to see.
3 years?
Huh?
Maybe 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah. Just awesome to see Matt back on TV.
It was technically like 20 years almost. Kind of.
Yeah, I know Matt put out a post about it.
Because prior to this, did he wrestle at Madison Square Garden as Matt Cardona or no? Was he Brett?
No, he's never wrestled in WWE as Matt Cardona.
So I think he might have been Brett Matthews then, maybe. I don't know. Against Matt Morgan.
Yeah.
So yeah, this might have been his first time ever as Matt Cardona. I think
I think he mentioned that in his Instagram.
This was awesome to see.
Well.
It was awesome to hear the pop from the crowd. They popped big time when Matt came out. I think it was hilarious to hear Vic Joseph bring up Matt Cardona teaming with Booker T at WrestleMania 28. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But it really, ultimately, it would have been nice if Matt Cardona won. But Briggs went to use that chain, and Matt hit radio silence, but Josh Briggs kicked out and then caught Matt Cardona with that big boot to get the victory there. We saw...
Yeah, this was Matt's first match ever in WWE as Matt Cardona.
I wonder if he was Brett Matthews against Matt Morgan.
Back when he faced Matt Morgan, I think he was Brett Matthews.
Yeah.
I feel like he was Brett Matthews when he faced Matt Morgan. Definitely not Matt Cardona. Brett Matthews, I believe.
Yeah.
But
so like
next
it
up,
was awesome, and that's like John Cena then goes again, puts out those freaking posts.
Yeah, he's putting Matt over. Love it.
In a perfect world, it would be at Madison Square Garden. I don't necessarily know if we'll see that, though.
Make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen, John.
It would be cool. And again, I'd be even more pissed off that I missed it. So, But with my luck, that's exactly what would happen. So, who knows? We'll see. 1 month away.
El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. picked the victory over Alexis King. Triple A standout.
Yeah, it was nice to see Dr. Wagner Jr. again. I feel like they keep like changing what they're calling him. When we first saw him, I don't even think he was El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. I think it was El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Then it turned to Del. Commentary sometimes says Dr. Wagner Jr. Other people say Dr. Wagner Jr. Jr. But I assume that he'd be the one getting this victory, given the story that he's in with Ethan Page, and he did get that win. Although Alexis King worked on Dr. Wagner's leg throughout the match. But Wagner eventually hit that Wagner driver, gets the victory there. Afterwards, calls out Ethan Page. And Ethan Page said that at Halloween Havoc, Wagner will get his title shot. And then Dr. Wagner Jr. announced that it's going to be a Day of the Dead match. He spoke to Ava. Anything goes.
I'm curious with what this is going to bring.
I assume a bunch of Dia de la Muertos items. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to that match, though. Yeah. I'll say that for sure. I don't know. I don't think Ethan Page will lose that, though.
I don't know yet.
After that, we saw Blake Monroe pick up the victory over Zarya, who was annoyed that Sol Ruca was in that battle royal later on for the number one contender spot. And she's like, I'll just go out there myself. We got the power stuff from Zarya, but you had to know Blake Monroe was winning this match. Blake tried to use a chair. Sol Ruca actually takes the chair away. And then behind the referee's back, Blake Monroe had a hair gimmick that she jabbed into Zarya's throat before hitting that beauty shot and gets the victory there. And then backstage, Sol Ruca told Zarya that she could have her spot in the Battle Royal. So Zarya did go on to compete in that main event, which we'll talk about in a moment. They announced the men's speed tournament starts next week. It's going to be Axiom versus Sean Legacy from Evolve. Zachary Wentz from TNA versus Jasper Troy. I was hoping that we would see like AAA involved here, but maybe because El Grande Americano is the champion, they decided not to do AAA in this tournament. I would have never expected Jasper Troy to be in this tournament, but it's hard to not think we're going to be seeing. I don't know who to. I have to assume Jasper Troy has beaten Zachary Wentz. I would also assume Axiom is going over Sean Legacy, but then between Axiom and Jasper Troy, I would find it hard to believe El Grande Americano would lose the championship, but it's very possible he will. And they just have him focus on stuff during Monday Night Raw.
It's possible.
After that, we saw the Culling versus Chase U and Hank and Tank for the number one contender spot for the tag team championships go to a no contest. Because OTM showed up and took everyone out. Wasn't expecting OTM at all. They just had a new T-shirt on WWE Shop a few weeks ago, but I was expecting it.
Yeah, with that, I totally forgot about the T-shirt too.
But yeah, for this, I was not expecting that at all. And I really don't need to see any of them become tag team champions. No offense to any of them, but
no, I'm happy that OTM is back though.
I did see somebody say, like, because we know the Hardy Boys, the Hardys got attacked by Dark State backstage. We know that the Hardys and Dark State have a match for the championships at Halloween Havoc. Somebody, I don't know who tweeted it, but somebody was like, this match goes down, and then all of a sudden they put out like a knockoff name, but they were like, ooh, is that Private Party? I think that would be a pretty cool debut for them if it like turned out where the Hardys retain and then Private Party comes out and that's their debut, and then that sets them up to get to go against the Hardy Boys. Maybe they win the titles.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't see them defeating the Hardys for the titles though.
Why not? Is that not like the hottest thing you would do? Is bring in two people who you didn't think were in the company yet, or two people you thought maybe still might be in AEW?
Actually, you know what? No, not a bad pitch. Not bad. But next up, you had the number one contenders battle royal take place. Your winner, Tatum Paxley, picking up the victory.
I could swear this was supposed to be 20 people, and I'm almost certain there were 21 people. Unless I'm counting wrong.
That's funny.
But you had Lei Ying Lee, you had Zaya Brookside, Victoria Crawford, Mara Sade, you had Heather by Elegance, and the inspiration from TNA. You had Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, Izzy Dame, Lash Legend, Kendall Gray, Lola Vice, Carmen Petrovich, Zarya, Thea Hale, Callie Armstrong, the Evolved Champion, Ren Sinclair. I liked the moment that we had between Metaphor. Almost like a Lion King-esque sort of situation, but like she actually did save. She did make the save, but Zarya ends up hitting Lash Legend into Mara Sade. That eliminates Mara Sade from the match. Everyone else ended up teaming up to take out Lash Legend from that match. We saw... This was a bad spot, maybe. Sol Ruka came out to cheer on Zarya. And Blake Monroe attacked Sol Ruka. And then Zarya eliminated herself to check on Sol Ruka after Sol Ruka gave up her spot in this.
I did not like that at all.
On one hand, I 100% understand it. I get it completely. But on the other hand, it's like...
Yeah, I get what they were trying to go for, but I was not happy with it.
That apron spot with Jordan Grace and Kalani Jordan I thought was fire. But it came down to Jordan Grace. It came down to the culling. It came down to Kendall Gray. And Kendall Gray, I think, had a very decent showing in this match. But ultimately, Tatum Paxley was choking Jordan Grace while she was on the apron. And Izzy ends up hitting that cactus clothesline to Jordan Grace while Tatum Paxley held on. I think it would... And by the way, Izzy was very pissed off that she was eliminated from that match and lost. And then goes on Twitter saying, I'm so happy for Tatum. I thought that was really funny. And everyone's like, wait a minute, what's this then? But I think it would be awesome to see Tatum Paxley win the championship at Halloween Havoc. Lyra Valkyria ran down to celebrate with Tatum Paxley. So there is a possibility of getting that like other side of Tatum Paxley back that we've been missing. That the culling sort of took away.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's possible.
And they did do a segment where like a video to introduce Lainey Reed as a new member of Fatal Influence. So we do have JC Jane versus Tatum Paxley now for that championship at Halloween Havoc. Like I said, I would really like to see Tatum Paxley win. So that is NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Nick Aldis. They had been advertising Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre for this whole week, it seemed like. And it came out that Jacob Fatu was injured or something. I'm not 100% sure. But they still pushed this match. Nick Aldis announced that it was a number one contender match now to face Cody. And then brought Cody Rhodes out. Cody addressed Seth Rollins beating him at Crown Jewel. He hyped up Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. That was it for that segment. Later on, you had Cody Rhodes talking to Jacob Fatu. You had Drew McIntyre lurking in the background. They didn't even mention McIntyre lurking in the background, but I'll put a pin in that. The first match saw Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair pick up the victory over Zaruka to retain the tag team championships. Blake Monroe was ringside for this, and I enjoyed this match. Zaruka did a good job at holding the ring. I think, some of it maybe even a little heelish in their tactics, but Sol Ruka hit the Soul Snatcher on Charlotte Flair. Alexa Bliss broke that up. The match continued. Later on, Blake Monroe was, maybe you would say, sarcastically cheering for Sol Ruka. And Sol Ruka confronted her. Charlotte Flair took advantage of that, took out Sol's knee, got her back in the ring for a figure 4, which she then put into a figure 8 and got the victory. They all shook hands afterwards. I thought that was nice. You had a vignette for Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. This was very, very well done. They had a snake. I assume the snake was live. I would not be able to do that, but they said that this had always been part of the plan. I thought this, like I said, was very well done. Earlier in the night, you had Rey Fenix taking photos backstage, and Solo Sikoa told him, move on, you're good, move, you're done. The MFTs then attacked him when Fenix was like, no, I'll just take a little bit more. Later on, Sami Zayn spoke to Nick Aldis about how he was supposed to have an open challenge. Nick Aldis got rid of it. He wanted to know why. And Nick Aldis said, I want Shinsuke Nakamura to have a fair rematch. He's in Japan right now. He can't have that rematch. And also because of the MFTs, it's unpredictable. The Miz was in that office as well during that time. And then Sami Zayn was like, I'm not having this. I'm 100% going out there and doing an open challenge. I'm not going to be scared of the MFTs. Miz came out, cut a promo on the open challenge. It seemed obviously like he was going to accept the open challenge, but you had to be just a little smart to... Carmelo Hayes was going to definitely attack the Miz. And he did. They brawled off. And then Ilya Dragunov returned to WWE and beat Sami Zayn for the U.S. Championship. I think it's fantastic to see Ilya Dragunov back. He's been out since September 2024, and this match was great. I don't know if that one spot was supposed to be a brainbuster on the apron from Sami Zayn, but Dragunov landed shoulder first on the rope, and I thought that looked really cool. But Dragunov kicked out of the Blue Thunder Bomb after running into a haluva kick midair. Solo Sikoa then showed up, smiled at Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn maybe got a little distracted at that, but he still hit the exploder suplex. He went for another haluva kick in the corner. Dragunov this time cuts him off with the Torpedo Moscow, and then he hits that H-bomb to get that victory. Very awesome, like I said, to see Ilya Dragunov back. I was not expecting a new champion. I'm definitely going to miss the open challenges if they don't continue those. But the MFTs show up. They attack both Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov afterwards. Fenix showed up to fight. He got put down as well. And then Bo Dallas showed up on the screen. The Wyatt Six appeared in the ring, and Solo Sikoa backed off the MFTs, and they all left. All of that was electric. Tiffany Stratton was interviewed. She put Stephanie Vaquer over and said that the loss does not define her. And then Kiana James showed up and said that loss is why she offered her services to Stephanie Vaquer and not Tiffany Stratton, because Tiffany Stratton doesn't have it. And it sets up a match for next week. Backstage, we saw the Motor City Machine Guns talking about being in WWE for a year, which Los Garza interrupted. They made fun of them. They said Motor City Machine Guns was like, oh, let's do it. Let's make it a yearly thing. And that sets up a match. We saw Motor City Machine Guns pick up the victory over Los Garza. It was an unexpected match. I'm glad they had this match. Los Garza looked great in this match. I expected to see Santos Escobar finally return to cost Motor City Machine Guns that match, but they hit Skull and Bones to get that win. Santos Escobar, by the way, was released from WWE and then re-signed to WWE. So I guess now at this point it's just a waiting game. You had Nathan Fraser backstage pitching to Axiom to go do something. And DIY walked in. They made fun of that. And they said that the Street Profits proved that they're still losers. They spoke about Motor City Machine Guns, Los Garza, the Wyatt Six. And I assume this sets up a match. I don't know if it's a tag match, one-on-one between Axiom and Johnny Gargano. It almost seemed like they were going to be taking Axiom's mask off soon, though. I don't know if I want to see that happen. But then you cut to backstage. You have Jacob Fatu's theme song playing to get ready for the main event. And then there was a ton of commotion. He was attacked. Tons of blood, missing teeth. Equipment was laid out on top of him. I hope whatever the actual injury is, he's fine. They said that the news site said it could potentially be out for quite a while. I don't know what that could be, but I really do hope he's fine. But Drew McIntyre came out to make fun of whatever happened to Jacob Fatu. And he wanted his hand raised to become the new number one contender. Nick Aldis showed up. Drew McIntyre said he had absolutely nothing to do with that attack. And he wanted his match against Cody Rhodes. Cody showed up super pissed off. He blamed Drew McIntyre for that attack. Challenged him for a fight. They brawled. They went through the crowd. Cody was still in his dress clothing. And then went on to have a match. Drew McIntyre gets the win over Cody via disqualification. I don't know when the last time... Also, I don't know if the title was on the line, by the way. But I don't know the last time we saw something like this. This whole episode I thought was exciting. Cody Rhodes ended up using that championship to knock Drew McIntyre out. Take him out of the match, or end the match, I should say. The fight continued. Cody tried to hit a crossroads on Cody Cutter. No, Cody. It was a crossroads on the commentary table. Security, agents, they all showed up. It was broken up. And then Cody Rhodes dove from the top turnbuckle onto Drew McIntyre and security to end SmackDown. They packed a lot into this episode. Like I said, this was an exciting episode of SmackDown. Well done. So that was SmackDown. Going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is the complete Matt Cardona, and you're listening to Markin Out, you marks.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 767. Moving back to AEW Collision from last week. Josh Alexander picked up the victory over Kota Ibushi via countout. Ibushi unfortunately got injured during the match. And then they had Mark Davis return afterwards. I didn't get the referee, man. The referee didn't back up Mark Davis from punching Kota Ibushi. They clearly knew something was wrong. I didn't understand that at all. But Kenny Omega came out and made the save. Tony Schiavone not knowing who was running out while Kenny Omega's theme song, Titantron, played. I don't get that either. You had the acclaimed or the not acclaimed pick up the victory over the Learning Tree. Or I guess at this point, the not Learning Tree. But the acclaimed are still not on the same page. They showed, throughout the match, they showed that off perfectly. Bowens ends up tagging himself in, which caused them to argue. But they both end up taking out Big Bill. Bowens hit that mollywop after Keith took out Max Caster. And he got to get the victory off of that. You had Ty J pick up the victory over Carolina Cruz and Dream Girl Ellie, which I think is a step in the right direction for the tag championships. But this is a nothing match. It has no real meaning. You don't get momentum to build up to something new by winning against opponents who are enhancement talent. Enhancement talent should be reserved for new superstars, not somebody who's been there since basically day one. You had the Triangle of Madness pick up the victory over Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, and Toni Storm. Back-to-back women's matches was completely shocking. I'd also say it was surprising to see the champion in a losing effort on a team. Chris Statlander almost kicked Toni Storm by mistake, and that little pause led to them basically getting the loss there. Tekla was able to take over, get that victory over Harley Cameron. Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter attacked the Triangle of Madness later on. You had LFI pick up the victory over Maximum Male Models. This was a nothing match. And then they followed it up. Eddie Kingston picked up the victory over Black Taurus. Black Taurus needs more victories. Very much so, desperately needs more victories. Eddie Kingston also needs victories, but needs them against people who win. So this, to me, was also another nothing match. Black Taurus's last singles victory was January. This was literally just like last week's Collision. They had LFI beat nobodies and then followed it up with Dralistico losing to Eddie Kingston. This was a copy and paste. And then the main event, you had Megan Bayne and FTR pick up the victory over Jet Speed and Willow Nightingale. This match I thought was okay. It was kind of confusing at the start because I was under the impression that it was a mixed tag match, but which typically that is men face men, women face women. They didn't stick to that at all. I liked Willow doing the cannonball to Dax. She drop kicked him as well. Megan Bayne pushed him out of the way. I liked her doing the fallaway slam to Speedball. She also hit Kevin Knight with the suicide dive. Then we saw Penelope Ford get involved. She hit a doomsday device when Stokely was distracting the referee. And then the freaking referee turns around and counts and acts all confused like, oh, how did this happen? Gee, I can't imagine. How did this happen? And then he raised Penelope Ford's arm as if she was in the match as well. They went to attack afterwards. Harley Cameron made the save. You got AEW Dynamite this week taking place. Chris Statlander and Toni Storm had a sit-down interview to open the show, which I don't think 100% not how I would ever open a show, ever. It was a middle-of-the-show segment. You had right off the bat Toni Storm, Chris Statlander both stripped down. Renee also ends up taking her jacket off. Toni Storm basically said she doesn't know who she is without the title, but who is Chris Statlander without the championship? Chris Statlander, in the most Toni Storm of ways, said that she's champion. And then Toni Storm was like, oh, meet me in the ring. And then they went out to the ring and they fought. They've done this over and over and over and over. It was a very bad opening segment. After the WrestleDream pay-per-view is over, I hope we never see this again. They've been building this up. We've never seen Toni Storm versus Chris Statlander. And then all they do is go out there and fight with each other like that. It's literally Peter Griffin versus the Chicken at this point. You had the Gates of Agony pick up the victory over the Hurt Business. This was copy and paste, waste of time. They did this as a trios match at All Out. They did this as a street fight on Dynamite last week. They were going to do a normal 6-man tag for WrestleDream. And then Tony Khan made this a tornado tag match, which is basically a street fight. We didn't need this tag match. Ricochet got involved. MVP used his cane afterwards. You had Claudio pick up the victory over Roderick Strong. Roddy I don't think has ever beaten Claudio in AEW. I am glad that Claudio at least got the victory without anybody else from the Death Riders. It was completely on his own. You had Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express pick up the victory over the Don Callis family. Big time B-team Don Callis family. It eventually broke down into the move gimmick. The referee had no control. Jungle Boy ends up sacrificing himself for Kenny Omega. That's a big thing because they've been going back and forth. Can I trust you? Can I not trust you? Or Kenny has been going back and forth at least. Jack Perry eventually gets the victory. Obviously, the B team was losing. The Young Bucks end up attacking Jurassic Express afterwards. Kenny makes the save. I don't know if they tried to make that moment bigger than it was. It didn't come off as like a huge moment. Maybe it's been like sort of rushed that they've interacted with one another. Yeah, Jamie Hayter pick up the victory over Sky Blue. The main thing from this was that it was just a way for Jamie Hayter to get a victory before facing Tekla. Tekla wasn't even ringside for this. Julia Hart ends up cheating behind the referee's back. They can mention blood and guts all they want, but the build went absolutely cold. Literally weeks since they announced it. We've not seen enough progression or anything. WrestleDream is coming. Yeah, well, why did you announce blood and guts if you're not going to build to it? Why did you announce women's tag team championships if you're not going to build to it? Yeah, the Ops pick up the victory over LFI to retain the Trios championships. LFI only wins when it doesn't matter. Like against Maximum Male Models. Hangman did commentary for this. I feel like he didn't really add anything to commentary. This was a great match for LFI though. But like I said, they always lose for the most part. LFI attacked the Ops afterwards. Hangman joined in and took 3/4 of LFI out by himself. That's not good for LFI. Yeah, the Death Riders pick up the victory over Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy. Kyle O'Reilly got beat down for most of this match. John Moxley eventually came out. He was involved in a pre-tape earlier with Darby Allin, randomly in a jail. Glass between one another, talking between the glass. Pac attacked Darby Allin, bloodied him up. It made absolutely no sense. It was probably a ripoff from Batman. Marina Shafir distracted the referee in this actual match when Kyle O'Reilly had the match won. Claudio and Pac showed up. Ishii and Roddy showed up. John Moxley comes out into the ring to go to talk, and then Darby Allin shows up, starts walking like a zombie. Absolutely eats an uppercut from Claudio. Pac attacks Darby. Yuta and Daniel Garcia attack Darby. Marina Shafir attacks Darby. And he just kept crawling. He brought up the Everest flag and said that it's not too late to quit. And John Moxley hits him with the paradigm shift. 6 members of the Death Riders not being able to take Darby Allin out was embarrassing. Commentary said that the Death Riders got the upper hand there going into the pay-per-view. Darby was up and moving and smiling. That was awful. That was truly awful. Yet Megan Bayne pick up the victory over Harley Cameron. FTR came out with Megan Bayne. She cuts a promo on Willow. Stokely cuts a promo on Willow. He used autoimmune disease as a joke. That's so funny. Dax spoke. Jet Speed and Willow and Harley Cameron end up speaking backstage. They end up in the ring behind their backs. Harley and Willow attack Megan from behind. Jet Speed attacks FTR from behind. They all brawl. The match, I think, was actually better than Sky Blue and Jamie Hayter. But because of what they did beforehand, it didn't matter to me. I will take a million more matches like Harley Cameron and Megan Bayne without that giant cluster of what they did beforehand. And then the main event saw Mark Briscoe and Brodito pick up the victory of the Don Callis family. This show had way too much Don Callis family. It had way too much Death Riders. I was so done with this. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe brawled to the back, so that left the B team of the Don Callis family to lose. Normally, if there's an A team member in the wrestling in the match, they're more than likely picking up that victory. But the A team member was drawn away from the match, so they lost. El Clone showed up afterwards. He was dead on arrival. Without Hologram, he's meaningless. And here, what did he do? He caused a distraction for Okada to then show up and take Bandito out. B team helping the A team. B team doesn't get anything from the A team. This, again, was such a poor episode, all over the place. I don't think it flowed at all. It did nothing, absolutely nothing to make me be like, oh, let me tune into WrestleDream. Taking place St. Louis, Missouri. I'm sure they're going to add 1 million matches. You have the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand. Tornado Trios match. I would have to say the Demand. I can't see the Hurt Business winning again. You had Jamie Hayter versus Tekla. Jamie Hayter versus Tekla. This has to immediately set up Blood and Guts. Has to. I'm going to say Jamie Hayter. I'm going to say Tekla, not Jamie Hayter. For the AEW Tag Team Championships, Bro Dito defending the titles against the Don Callis family. Okada and the new IWGP champion Takeshita. The slowest build between Takeshita and Okada. I don't know if Okada's going to absolutely snap when he sees that Takeshita has that title. He turned the TV off when Takeshita was wishing Don Callis a happy birthday, I believe. But it's a hard match to call. I'm going to say Bro Dito. TNT Championship on the line. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. There's no way Mark Briscoe's winning. I feel like you'd have to be a moron to believe it. Even if Mark Briscoe ends up winning, you'd still have to be a moron to think he was winning. So I'm picking Kyle Fletcher there. You have a tag team match. Winners receive $500,000 for whatever reason. Who cares? Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. Jurassic Express winning that. $500,000. Sweet. AEW Women's Championship on the line. Chris Statlander defending the title against Toni Storm. Statlander all the way. I Quit match is the main event. You have Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. Couldn't care less who quits. It's going to be Darby Allin who wins. I have to assume if he's crawling, perfectly fine, smiling. Jon Moxley hit me in with the paradigm shift. All the other 5 members beat me up. Here I am. Smiling. Bloodied. Smiling, though. World Championship. Hangman. Samoa Joe. Hangman wins. That's the end. Hey, Brandon, got any shout-outs?
Hello there, this is Randy Newman, and you're listening to Brandon Shoutouts, because you got some shoutouts from Brandon. Now, when do I get paid?
Peacemaker gets the first shout-out. The Season 2 finale happened last week, and it almost seems like I was the only person who actually liked the finale.
I was okay with it too.
Maybe it's because I'm not full on invested in the DCU. Like, I'm all in on Peacemaker. I couldn't care less about the DCU as a whole. I thought it was very fitting. There was character growth. There was there were emotions and everything.
Yeah, it was like the end of the chapter. It was the end of the chapter.
And it's unfortunately. By the way, it's been a week, so I feel like. Can we speak about spoilers or what?
Yes, you could say everything.
I marked the
spoiler. Don't listen if you haven't seen it yet.
I marked the absolute hell out, and it's not even like, oh my god, people are going to care about I don't think most people will care that I'm going to say Nelson was on it. I saw them on a cruise in 2011. I met them, and then I saw them 7 months later, and they somewhat remembered me. So Well,
you're not really a forgettable character.
I don't know. But I pop big time for that. But Peacemaker, I really do hope there's a season 3. And I would also hope that it's not like 3 years in between seasons again. But I saw James Gunn said that he's not doing a 3rd season. And that the Peacemaker characters will appear again in other DCU projects. But I don't really care about the DCU, like I said. So Peacemaker, I thought was a phenomenal. Season 1 and Season 2 were absolutely phenomenally done. So
I'm on the opposite side where I'm a big fan of Peacemaker, but I am a fan of DC Universe since James Gunn has taken over. So him saying that Peacemaker, they're not likely to do it. Whatever his phrasing was about season 3. I don't know if it's really necessary right now, but he said that them appearing in other movies, I am pumped for them appearing in other movies and seeing how that plays out.
Obviously the ending of Peacemaker sets up for something bigger, and everyone on Twitter, they're like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what these words are even. So it doesn't mean anything to me. But I very much so, like I said, I enjoyed that season finale. And I don't need to, people are like, Superman needed to be on this episode. Why? I literally couldn't have cared less if Superman was on it. I just cared about John Cena and Peacemaker.
Yeah, why would Superman have to be on this episode?
I don't know.
The episode wasn't about
It should have had big explosions and big fights. That's how you end a season. That's how you end a series. Not this.
No, it was it was it was the battle of John Cena really breaking free of himself. No, it wasn't really a John Cena versus someone particular besides them kind of escaping everybody.
It was Chris Smith
It was
versus Chris Smith. Peacemaker versus Peacemaker. And
well, we saw.
I mean, but no, I mean like actually like like physical versus emotional.
Exactly,
and that was the same for everyone.
That was
too.
Exactly what it was.
That was like everyone on that episode. I think that was a perfect episode.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
And then I was scrolling through TikTok live afterwards, and like literally, I don't even know how that, like, cause I never ever see like DC sort of TikToks or anything, but almost every TikTok live that I was like seeing was related to Peacemaker, and they're all trashing it. And I would stop in there. I was like, nah, this episode was good.
And they're like, get this person out of here. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It was trash. Please tell me why you thought this trash episode was good.
People don't deserve good shows because of like people like this. They don't deserve good shows.
My next shout out goes to John Candy, I Like Me, which is a new documentary out on Amazon Prime. Colin Hanks directed it. Ryan Reynolds was one of the producers of it. It has an all-star lineup for interviews. You have Tom Hanks, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Catherine O'Hara, Conan O'Brien, who I always enjoy hearing that John Candy story of his from when he was in college. Steve Martin, Macaulay Culkin, Martin Short, so many other celebrities were part of this documentary. It's been over 31 years since John Candy passed away, but he left such a lasting legacy, and I really wish he was still here making movies. I mean, there were so many good movies of his. Uncle Buck, Brewster's Millions, Planes, Trains, Automobiles. Those are all like must-see movies to me. The Great Outdoors was good. National Lampoon's Vacation he was great in. Home Alone he had a great cameo. Rookie of the Year, Little Shop of Horrors. Cool Runnings I enjoyed.
I forgot the camp name, but it was a cartoon of a sleepaway camp.
I'm like vaguely remembering that. I think it was Camp Candy.
Yeah, he was the camp counselor.
Yeah. But John Candy was a unique talent. So if you're into documentaries, I would highly recommend that one. My last shout out goes to Diane Keaton, who unfortunately passed away last week at the age of 79. I'm going to assume that I would have first saw or heard of her in either Father of the Bride, Look Who's Talking Now, or Father of the Bride Part 2, or The First Wives Club. And I'm almost certain I saw Father of the Bride Part 2 and The First Wives Club in theaters, which I would have been like 6 or 7, which is probably when my memories first start. So it was probably those like latter two films that I would first remember her from. All great movies. She's had so many other movies I enjoyed. Something's Gotta Give. And Because I Said So. She won the Oscar for Annie Hall. Her first major role was in The Godfather. She was in those movies. But like I said, so many movies for Diane Keaton. Go watch some of them this weekend. Do you have any that you specifically enjoy?
All of them.
And I'm very happy that they got to do that Father of the Bride part, what was it, part 3-ish or something, whatever they did over COVID. So those are my shout outs. Now it's time for right. Our mark out moment of the week. Like I said earlier, AJ Styles and John Cena from start to finish.
I agree with you. That marked out so much for, and Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
Marked out for Matt Cardona on NXT big time.
Also, on the topic of TNA AJ Styles, after grinding for hours, for days, I did finally get the TNA AJ Styles from WWE 2K25. But it took way too long to get that Bayley. That Bayley was ridiculously priced. And once I unlocked that Bayley, I didn't even need to use her in the freaking match. It was a tag team match. I used Julia the whole match. It was maybe a total of 12 minutes between unlocking her, doing that tag match, and then doing the Booker T match. That was it. Like maybe 12 minutes, and then I unlocked AJ Styles. Absolutely ridiculous that it took way that long to get Bayley to build up that many My Faction points. 120,000. Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
And then I also got enough VC to unlock Goldberg and Nikki Bella, which I think is also ridiculous that you need 50,000 VC for. That's absolute ridiculous. But I also marked out seeing the Hardys versus the Dudleys at Bound for Glory. I thought that was awesome. Spike Dudley came out for the entrance.
Oh, yeah. I marked out for that, too.
The Dudley Boys, though, were dressed as the Dudley Boys. They were not dressed as Team 3D. And then a lot of people clowned on the ending. I thought that ending was perfect, where Bubba Ray gave everything he could possibly give to that match, and he accepted his fate. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that ending.
And then afterwards, Bubba Ray and Devon took their boots off and gave them to the Hardy Boys, and Bubba Ray tweeted the end.
That's it. When
I first got into pro wrestling, it was Mankind and the Hardys that drew me in, but the Dudley Boys are forever tied to the Hardy Boys, and I truly can't thank both of them enough for all the years of entertainment.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're legends.
Mike Santana beat Trick Williams for the TNA Championship, and I was very happy to see that. He was not happy with where he was in AEW, so he bet on himself. He got out of that company, and now he's the TNA champion. Mm-hmm. I was very, very happy to see that ending of Bound for Glory. I also think that ending with the Vision is just like, has to be a mark out moment. That was a holy crap moment. Wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
And then also I have to say, getting new Headbanger content on WWE Vault. They released a WWE retrospective with the team, so it was cool to hear them talk about some of their matches. I did see some people like clowning on the fact that it was as long as it was, because like how could the Headbangers have so many things to talk about? People are garbage. I mean, people are truly garbage.
Yeah.
So check that out on WWE Vault. I thought it was awesome. I was a big fan of the Headbangers, so I'm always happy to see new content with them. I was happy that we got them in the video games. I was happy to see new figures of them. Not that I collect figures, but check that out. Those are the mark out moments of the week, and that is episode 767. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can check us out on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on all platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sween85, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/Markin Out, YouTube and Instagram, Markin Out 11, ProWrestlingTees.com/Markin Out, at Markin Out on TikTok. You could rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, markinout.com, and we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Have a fantastic week.